Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm here again to tell you more horror stories. Please comment what you want and subscribe. Let's go. Hey, I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me over 10 years ago, when I was just 15 years old. My name is Ana Lopez, and back then, we lived in San Andres Tuxtla, Veracruz. It was festival season in town, and everyone was super excited about the fair they set up at the Primero de Mayo sports field. My little brother Diego, who was 9 years old, and I went with my grandma to check it out on a Saturday afternoon. The place was packed full of food stalls, games, and crafts. You could smell grilled corn and dulce de leche everywhere, and there were laughs and regional music blasting loud. I was more into the colorful bracelets and necklaces, but Diego was all about the toys. We held hands so we wouldn't get lost in the crowd. He kept pointing at everything, his eyes wide with excitement. And me, well, I just hoped we wouldn't take too long because the sun was beating down hard. While we were walking through the stalls, Diego stopped dead in his tracks, almost yanking my arm. It was a small wooden stall, kind of tucked away between the others, loaded with handmade toys and trinkets. An old man, with weathered skin and slightly shaky hands, was sitting behind the counter, staring at us real serious. There were dolls, little cars, and some weird figures, all carved out of dark, polished wood. Diego fell in love with a tiny figurine of a man with a big, kind of creepy smile. He started begging, "Anna, please, buy this for me. I really want it." I didn't want to spend money, but he kept at it until I gave in. I went up to the old man, who seemed like he didn't want to hand it over. He held the figure for a moment, like he didn't want to let go, and gave us a weird look. It felt off, but I didn't say anything right then. I just wanted to get it over with. The old man finally gave me the figure, but not before saying something that made me uneasy. He told me, in a low, raspy voice, to be careful and not let the figure get wet under any circumstances. I just nodded, not really getting what he meant. Why would getting a wooden piece wet be a big deal? I figured maybe it was just to keep his work from getting ruined. I don't know. I paid what he asked, a pretty steep price for something so small, and stuck the figure in the pocket of Diego's backpack. He was over the moon, carrying his backpack on his shoulders and talking nonstop about how he was going to play with the smiling little man. My grandma, who was a bit behind us, looking at some embroidered cloths, didn't even notice the purchase. We kept walking around the fair, but I couldn't stop thinking about the old man's warning. There was something about how he said it that got under my skin. It was getting late when the sky started clouding up. It didn't take long for a heavy rainstorm to hit out of nowhere. Here in San Andres, those storms come without warning, and this one soaked everything in minutes. We ran to get under a tarp, but Diego's backpack, which wasn't zipped up right, ended up completely drenched. I tried to dry it off with my shirt as best I could, but it didn't help much. He got upset, worried about his wooden figure, but I told him it was no big deal, that we'd dry everything out when we got home. My grandma was grumbling about how the rain ruined the day, and we decided to head back soon. The walk home was kinda annoying, with wet shoes and Diego complaining. I just wanted to get there, take a hot shower, and forget about the day. I had no idea anything else was coming. We got home after dark, and the first thing I did was help Diego empty out his backpack. The wooden figure was totally soaked, but it looked okay, just a little darker from the water. I put it on a shelf in his room near his bed, because he wanted to look at it before going to sleep. My grandma, who's real religious, walked by his room and saw the figure. She made a face and asked where we'd gotten that thing. I told her it was just a toy from the fair, but she shook her head, like she didn't approve. Got a weird look to it, Anna. Better not leave it lying around, she said. I laughed, thinking it was just her being superstitious. Diego was tired, so I tucked him in and went to my room. The house was quiet with only the sound of the light. Rain still falling outside. In the middle of the night, I woke up to a sound I couldn't quite place at first. It was a soft, muffled crying coming from Diego's room. I got up, still half asleep, and went to see what was wrong. When I got there, he was sitting on his bed, hugging his pillow with tears streaming down his face. I asked what happened. If he'd had a nightmare, but he pointed at the shelf with a shaky hand. "Anna, it's watching me." "The little man is really watching me," he said, his voice choking up. I looked at the figure, trying to figure out what he was talking about. The light was dim, just the lamp on, but I swear the figure's eyes looked different. They looked wet, shiny, like they were made of glass or something. Before, I was sure they were just carvings in the wood, nothing special. I stood there, not knowing what to say. I tried to calm Diego down, telling him it was just his imagination, that the light was playing tricks on us. But honestly, I was starting to feel uneasy myself. I grabbed the figure off the shelf and stuck it in a drawer so he couldn't see it. "There, now it can't see you. Okay? Go back to sleep," I said, trying to sound confident. He was still scared, but eventually lay back down and closed his eyes. I went back to my room, but I couldn't sleep right. I kept thinking about what the old man said about not getting the figure wet. What if the water did something to the wood? What if it was releasing some kind of finish that changed how it looked? I tried to convince myself that's all it was. But part of me wasn't so sure about that explanation. The next morning, I got up early to make coffee before school. Diego came downstairs slowly, looking like he hadn't slept well. When he sat at the table, I noticed some marks on his arm. Small scratches, but definitely noticeable. Asked what happened, if he'd hurt himself playing or something. He swore he hadn't done anything, that he didn't even get out of bed after I put the figure in the drawer. "I didn't touch anything, Anna, I swear," he said, eyes wide. Looked at those scratches and felt a knot in my chest. It wasn't anything in his room that could have caused that, unless he scratched himself hard in his sleep. But he didn't seem like he was lying. I decided not to say anything just then, so I wouldn't scare him more. I just wiped the cuts with a cloth and some rubbing alcohol, and told him to be careful. When my grandma saw the scratches, she got worried right away. She's one of those people who believes in everything, from the evil eye to bad spirits. Asked about the wooden figure again, and I told her what Diego said during the night. She didn't hesitate. "This ain't good, Anna. That must have come from a bad place, or it's carrying something that shouldn't be here." She insisted we had to get rid of the figure, that it wasn't safe to keep something like that in the house. I wasn't sure if I believed her, but the way she said it, with so much certainty, made me nervous. Diego was listening too, and you could tell he was scared again. My grandma said we were going to burn the figure in the backyard, that it was the only way to get rid of any bad energy. I didn't want to argue with her, so I just agreed. That same day in the late afternoon, my grandma took the figure out of the drawer and brought it to the backyard. She made a small pile of twigs and old paper and placed the figure in the middle. Diego didn't even want to get close, so he watched from a distance, kind of hiding behind me. My grandma lit the fire and started praying quietly as the flames grew. I was just watching, not really sure what to think. The figure started burning, and the smell of the burning wood was kind of weird, almost like there was something else in. It's something that wasn't just wood. I can't explain it, but it smelled kind of sour, like it caught in your throat. The flames kept rising, and soon you couldn't see the shape of the smiling little man anymore. My grandma kept praying, until the fire died down. Then she scattered the ashes with a stick, just to make sure nothing was left. After we burned the figure, Diego stopped talking about it, but you could tell he was still kind of shaken. Didn't want to sleep with the lights completely off, and sometimes he'd ask me to stay in his room until he fell asleep. The scratches on his arm went away after a few days, and no more marks showed up. My grandma was relieved, saying we did the right thing, that there was nothing bad in the house anymore. I wanted to believe that, but honestly I kept thinking about what happened. Was it just Diego's imagination, making him think the figure was watching him? Or did the water really change something in the wood? Maybe released some varnish that made the eyes look different? I tried to convince myself it was just a coincidence, but deep down I wasn't so sure. That night stuck with me. Even now when I think about that fair at the Primero de Mayo field, I get a little uneasy. I haven't gone back there with the same excitement as before, and I avoid walking near the area where that old man's stall was. I never saw that guy again, and I don't even know if he still sets up there. Diego's grown up, and sometimes we talk about what happened, but he doesn't like remembering it. He just says he never wants anything made of carved wood, not even as decoration. I laugh, but deep down I get it. It's weird how something so small, just a silly toy, can leave you with so many questions. Was my grandma right about a bad spirit, or was it just kid fear? I don't know. I don't think I'll ever have a clear answer. One thing that stuck with me was how the old man at the stall seemed to know something could happen. Why did he warn us not to get the figure wet? Had he seen something like this before? Or was it just his way of spooking people to seem mysterious? I thought about going back to ask him, but I never got the nerve. What if he told me something I didn't want to hear? I'd rather leave it in the past, but I admit I still think about it sometimes. Every now and then, I see wooden carvings at fairs or stores, and I instantly remember that day. I can't help feeling like they're hiding something, even if it's just my paranoia. It's funny how a small event can stick with you so much, isn't it? I just wonder if I'll ever feel completely over it. Another thing that keeps nagging at me is where that wood came from. My grandma used to say that in some places, people believe trees can carry stories or energies from where they grew. Could that would have come from a place with a heavy history? Or maybe the old man used some weird material to make his carvings. Shine like that after getting wet? I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. All I know is that after this, I pay more attention to the stuff I buy. Especially at fairs like that. You never know what's behind an object, even if it looks harmless. It might just be superstition, but I'd rather not take the chance. I don't want to go through something like that again. It's better safe than sorry, right? What do you think? Diego, nowadays, is doing fine, but he still has a certain wariness about old or handmade things. He doesn't talk about it much, but I notice. He avoids antiques or stuff that seems to have history. I think that experience left a mark on him, even if he won't admit it. I try not to dwell on it too much either, but sometimes when I'm home alone and hear a weird noise, my mind goes straight to that night. It's like part of me expects to see something out of place, even though I know the figure was burned. It's silly, I know, but I can't help it. Maybe it's just how our brains hold on to odd memories. I wonder if other people feel this way too. It's hard to shake off sometimes. My grandma to this day uses this story as a lesson for the family. Whenever someone brings something weird into the house, she tells the story of the wooden figure and warns us to be careful. She swears we did the right thing by burning it, and that if we hadn't, something worse could have happened. I'm not sure if I believe all that, but I respect her faith. After all, she's always been real protective of us, and I know she just wanted what's best. Still, I wonder if burning the figure really fixed anything, or if it just got rid of the evidence of something I'll never understand. Sometimes I imagine if the ashes we scattered in the backyard still hold some of that energy she talked about. It's crazy, I know, but the doubt lingers. I want to make it clear that I'm not one to believe in supernatural stuff or scary stories. I'm pretty grounded, always looking for logical explanations for everything. But this experience with Diego and the wooden figure left me with some doubts. I can't say it was all just imagination, because I saw with my own eyes how the figure's eyes looked different after the rain. And the scratches on Diego's arm could be a coincidence, but it's hard to ignore. Maybe there's a simple explanation, like a finish that changes with moisture, or Diego scratching himself in his sleep. But what if it's not? What if there's something behind all this that I don't get? I'm torn between believing and not believing. I just don't know what to make of it. If you've ever been through something like this, something you can't quite explain, you get me? It's a weird feeling, wanting to think it's all nonsense, but not being able to forget it. Here in San Andres, there are tons of stories about unexplainable things, especially at old fairs and markets. The older folks always talk about objects that bring bad things, and I always thought it was just grandma tales. But after what I went through, I'm not so sure anymore. Maybe some stuff is just legends, but other things, well, they leave you wondering. It's not something I tell just anyone, because I know a lot of people will think it's made up or overblown. But if you've lived it, you know it's not so easy to brush off. So, that's my story. I don't have any way to prove what happened, and I'm not even sure I want to. Sometimes I think it's better to leave those things in the past without digging them up. But I admit I still think about that fair, the old man at the stall, and what he knew that he didn't tell us. Did other people buy stuff from him and have something similar happen? Was the figure just a poorly made piece, or was there more to it? I don't know, and I might never know. All I know is that, since then, I think twice before buying something, without knowing where it came from. So, what do you think? Was it just imagination? Or is there more to all this? I'd like to hear your take on it. That's everything I wanted to share. I don't expect you to fully believe me, but I swear that's how I experienced it. It might sound weird, but it's something I can't forget. I wish I had a clear explanation, but there isn't one. Back in Mexico, there are a lot of beliefs and tales. Sometimes you don't know if they're true or just stories to scare you. But this experience made me question stuff I used to take for granted. If you've got a similar story, I'd love to hear it just to know I'm not crazy. For now, I try not to overthink it, though I don't always succeed. Life goes on, but some things just stick with you. What would you do in my shoes? Forget it or look for answers? Good night. I came to share my strange story that happened to me. I'm Javier Morales. I'm 28 years old. I work at a factory here in central Mexico, in a small town where everyone knows each other. My life is pretty simple. Work, come home, spend time with my girlfriend, Anna, and hang out with friends every now and then. But there's something that happened a few months back that I can't get out of my head. It was during the annual fair that takes place in an empty lot near my neighborhood. Every year, they set up stalls with food, music, and the place gets packed with people. Anna and I went together just to walk around and enjoy the night. Everything was normal. Laughing, eating some grilled corn, smelling the roasted corn in the air, but all of a sudden I started feeling something weird. It was like someone was staring right at me, you know. The fair was crowded, people everywhere, kids running around, couples taking pictures. But even with all that commotion, I couldn't shake off this feeling. It was heavy, like a pair of eyes was glued to me. I kept looking around, trying to figure out where it was coming from, but I didn't see anything unusual. Anna even asked if I was okay since I kept turning my head every few seconds. I told her it was nothing, just a silly hunch. But it wasn't. Every few minutes, I felt it again, stronger each time. It was starting to make me really nervous. So I decided to look more closely at the people around me. And that's when I saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. In a corner, way at the back of the crowd, near a candy stall, there was a woman. An older lady with a faded shawl covering her shoulders. She was standing still, not moving. Just looking at me, her eyes were, I don't know, empty, like they didn't blink. There was no expression, just that fixed stare on me. I froze for a few seconds, my heart racing. I called Anna over right away and pointed to where she was. But when we looked together, there was no one there. She vanished just like that, like she was never even there. Anna laughed, said I was imagining things. But I knew it wasn't my imagination. I kept walking with Anna, but I couldn't relax. With every step, I was looking around, trying to spot that woman again. And a couple or 3 times I swear I saw her again. Always out of the corner of my eye, way in the back, staring at me. Every time I turned to look directly at her, she'd disappear. I started feeling really uneasy, almost scared. Anna noticed I was acting weird and suggested we leave. I agreed immediately. I didn't want to be there anymore. As we walked toward the exit, I felt that weight on my back again. I didn't look behind me, I just picked up the pace until we got to the street. The next day, I told my friend Carlos about what happened. He grew up here, knows all the stories about the neighborhood. When I mentioned the fair lot, he went quiet for a bit. Then he told me that decades ago, that place was used for wakes and morning gatherings. There was even a tragic fire during a celebration, and several people died. He doesn't know the details, just heard it from the older folks. I got chills when I heard that, because I'd never connected that lot to anything like that. Could it have something to do with what I saw? I don't know, but I can't stop thinking about it. Since that day, I haven't gone back to the fair. Anna keeps pushing, says it's silly, that it was just tiredness or something in my head. But I can't do it. Every time I pass by that lot, I feel uneasy, like something's still watching me. I don't know if it was a warning or if it's tied to the past of that place. I just know I don't want to find out. I even avoid walking by there at night. It's too weird for me. Who was that woman? Why did only I see her? I don't have answers, and I don't think I ever will. I just want to put this behind me. This hit me in a way I didn't expect. I've never been one to believe in weird stuff, always thought everything has an explanation. But how do you explain something you feel and see, but no one else can confirm? I keep wondering if I did something wrong, if I caught the attention of something I shouldn't have. Or was it just my imagination? I don't know, but that woman's gaze is burned into my memory. Those empty eyes locked on me like they knew something about me. I try not to think about it too much, but sometimes at night, I catch myself looking at the shadows. What if I see her again? Just thinking about it makes me restless. I told my mom about it, thinking she'd laugh or tell me to pray. Just listened, all serious, and told me to be careful. She said old places hold stories, and not all of them are good. She didn't go into details, but I got the feeling she knew something she didn't want to share. That just made me feel worse. Like I'm not crazy. Something happened there. Something I don't understand. I don't want to seem paranoid, but I don't feel comfortable going back to that lot. Who knows what else is hidden there? Who knows what that gaze meant? I just know I don't want to find out. Anna still teases me sometimes, says I saw a ghost, and laughs. But I don't find it funny. It wasn't like in the movies. No noises, no flying objects. It was just that look, that heaviness, that feeling of not being alone. I don't know how to describe it without sounding over the top, but it was real to me. There was no wind, it wasn't dark, it was just a fair full of people. Even so, I felt something I can't explain. Maybe it was just a moment of distraction. Maybe it was more. I don't know, and that bothers me. I just want to move on with my life without thinking about it. I thought about asking the older folks in the neighborhood about that lot. Maybe someone knows more about the fire or what happened there. But at the same time, I'm scared of what I might find out. What if it's something I don't want to know? What if it confirms that what I saw wasn't just in my head? I'd rather stay in the dark for now. I'm not one to mess with stuff like that. Never have been. I work, pay my bills, live my life. But this shook me in a way I didn't see coming. Just remembering it makes me a little tense. Maybe with time, I'll forget. Maybe. The worst part is that sometimes dreaming about it catches me off guard. Not always, but every now and then, I wake up in the middle of the night with her image. In my head, in the dream, she's closer, almost right next to me, just staring. She doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, just looks at me. I wake up sweating, heart pounding, staring into the darkness of my room. Anna doesn't even notice. She's asleep beside me. I don't tell her, so she doesn't worry, but I stay awake for a few minutes just to make sure there's nothing there. It's silly, I know, but I can't help it. This is affecting me more than I'd like. I don't know how to stop feeling this. I talked to a coworker at the factory. Miguel, who's older and knows the local stories well, just shrugged and said these things happen. He told me that sometimes the land holds memories, and some people feel it more than others. I don't know if I'd buy that, but he seemed serious. Said not to think about it too much, that these things pass. But what if it doesn't pass? What if I feel this again? I don't know if I'm ready to deal with something like this again. I just want my peace of mind back. Just want to forget that gaze. But I don't know if I can. Now every time I hear about the fair, I make up an excuse not to go. I say I'm busy, I'm tired, whatever. Anna's starting to notice something's off, but I don't push the subject. I don't want her to think I'm getting paranoid. That deep down I know it's not just some silly fear. That feeling was real. That gaze was real. I don't know what it meant or why it happened to me. Was it a warning? Is it something from the past of that place? I have no way of knowing. I just know I don't want to cross paths with it again. I'm thinking about changing my route, avoiding that lot altogether. It's not far from my house, but I can take another way to work. Maybe that'll help get this feeling out of my head. Or maybe I just need time. I don't know, I'm confused about all of this. I've never been through anything like this before. I don't know how to handle it. I just want it to stop bothering me. I just want to feel normal again. But until then, I'm stuck with this doubt in my mind. Who was she? What did she want? And why me, of all people? I told this story to a cousin of mine who's more curious about these kinds of things. He got all excited, said we should go back there to investigate, but I shut that down real quick. I don't want to mess with this. I don't want to stir up whatever it is. For me, what I felt is enough. Kept pushing, but I told him there's no way I'm going. I don't know if he believes what I told him or if he thinks I'm exaggerating. I don't care. I just know what I saw, what I felt. I don't want anything more to do with that place. Maybe he'll go on his own. But I'm not going. I try to distract myself, focus on work, friends, Anna. But there are moments when this comes back, out of nowhere. I'm at the factory, focused. And suddenly, I remember that gaze. I'm at the market, buying something. And I feel a weight, like someone's watching me. I look around, of course, but there's never anything there. It's just my mind playing tricks on me, I guess. Or is it? I don't know what to think anymore. I just know I want to leave this behind. I want to forget it for good. But something tells me it's not going to be that easy. Maybe I'll never understand what happened that night. Maybe it's better that way. I don't know if I want answers, to be honest. What if it's something bad? What if it's something that changes how I see things? I'd rather stay in the dark. I just want to go on with my life, without this weight. But for now, it's still here, in my mind. That empty stare, that feeling of being watched. I don't tell many people so I don't seem crazy, but I needed to vent. Maybe talking about it will help me feel a little better. I don't know if anyone who reads this will believe me. Maybe they'll think it's just a story or that I'm making things up. But I swear it was real to me. I have no way to prove it, obviously, but I don't need to. I just wanted to get this off my chest. Let it out. Maybe with time it'll fade from my mind. Maybe I'll feel at peace again. For now, I just try not to think about it too much. I just try to avoid that lot. I hope I never feel anything like that again. I hope I never see those eyes again. Writing this made me think about what happened all over again. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I needed to talk. Maybe someone's been through something similar. Maybe someone knows what it was. Or maybe it's just something I'll carry with me. I don't know. Just know that, since that day, I see things a little differently. I'm not saying I believe in ghosts or anything like that. I'm not saying I don't either. I just know what I felt. No one can take that away from me. Maybe one day I'll understand. Or maybe I'll just forget. For now, I keep trying.